you'll see what I mean when I explain briefly. The first one was something we did with the Peter Crouch podcast. I don't know if you're familiar with Peter Crouch, Chris, but
No.
he's a former footballer. He used to play for England, and he's very famous in the UK, extremely famous. And he has a podcast, which is a kind of very humorous, funny thing, loosely football based, but it's incredibly popular. And we did a partnership with him where he'd been talking about on his podcast this drink he created called Lout, which is a mixture of a lager and a stout. And when he says he created it, he used to sit in the pub and he'd pour lager and stout into the same glass. So we saw an opportunity there and said, hang on a minute, for your next series, why don't we actually make that for you? And lo and behold, this huge branded content campaign was born, but it was born out of something completely organic. Like they were talking about that long before we were involved. So we were able to just move the story along and come to a commercial arrangement and agreement in terms of the branded content side of things. And the whole next series of that, very popular, one of the most popular podcasts in the UK, and the whole next series of that was about that we were making Lout for real, and we ended up having a big launch party, and we sold it for real. It became the fastest selling Brewdog beer we'd ever made. It sold out in a couple of hours. We were selling, and it was insane. It was incredibly successful.